Hey everyone, welcome to the video on temperature. We're going to discuss the three scales of temperature and how they relate. Alright, so temperature is a measure of how hot or how cold an object is. We have three scales, so we can use Fahrenheit, Celsius, or Kelvin. Alright, these are equations that if you're in my class that I require you to know, so they're good just for practical reasons as well. So for example, I was in Canada. My best friend lives in Canada of all places, and whenever I'm there, I always want to know what temperature is to relate to my family here back in Alabama. And last time I went, there was 10 feet of snow, so it was really cold. And here everything's in Fahrenheit, right? So I wanted to know, I knew what it was in Celsius in Canada, and I wanted to be able to tell my family here what it was, in Fahrenheit. So it can be, just a practical, good equation to know. Fahrenheit is equal to 1.8 times the degree C plus 32, so whatever that degree C is. So if I'm trying to find Fahrenheit, I just plug in the degree C. And then if I'm trying to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius, then all I have to do is rearrange the equation. So you're not really memorizing two different equations. If you look at these two equations, this is my little rearranged symbol. These are just rearranged. So in math class, hopefully you've learned that if you want to rearrange and solve for degree C, I'm going to have to divide through by 1.8, okay, and then bring my 32 to the other side, which means it's going to be subtracting it. So all this is a rearrangement. So it's not actually two different equations. Alright, to convert from Celsius to Kelvin, Kelvin is what we use in chemistry, so that's what all chemists use. So we typically have a thermometer that reads in Celsius, and so then we just need to add 273 to it. So you take that number in degrees C and you add 273. Alright, if you want to do the opposite, so if you have Kelvin and you subtract 273, then you're going to get Celsius. Alright, so these once again aren't two different equations, they're just rearranged depending on which one you're solving for, which temperature you're wanting. So here's the scale. So those equations aren't just pulled out of thin air. They're related to how they are when you look at comparing the three scales and how the temperatures are different. So that's how they came up with those equations. And as you can see, like for instance, boiling water is 100 degrees C. So we all, kind of or most know that. Okay, and that would be 212 Fahrenheit, and then Kelvin would be 373, so that's the relationship there. Alright, so let's practice these. That's really the best thing to do, is just plug it into the equation, practice, make sure you can understand these. Alright, so we have methane, and it boils at negative 162 degrees C, and then we want to know the boiling point of methane in Fahrenheit, so we just want to change to Fahrenheit. So if you need to, you can go back and look at your equations if you don't remember them yet. But you take that 1.8 and you multiply it times the degree C that we're given here, and then you add 32. So if you do 1.8 times negative 162 plus 32, you actually will get about negative 259.6, but that's going to round to negative 260 degrees C. Okay. Alright, and then for now, it also asks to turn this to Kelvin. So for Kelvin is degrees C plus 273. So we're going to take negative 162 plus 273. That gives me about 111 K. Okay, and I also, real quick, need to go back and had a decimal there because I have 3 sig figs and 162, so I've got to have 3, so I have to put that decimal there to make that 0 significant. Alright, next problem says it's 70 degrees Fahrenheit in Alabama, and so I'm in Canada and I want to know what that is in Celsius so that my Canadian friends can understand that better in Celsius. So if I look back at my conversions, or you can plug it into this one here and rearrange that way, that's fine. But degrees C equals degrees Fahrenheit minus 32 divided by 1.8. Alright, so if it's 70 degrees Fahrenheit, I get 21 degrees C. So if it's 70s in Alabama and I wanted to convert that to degrees C, that would be 21 degrees. Alright, I hope these help. You understand temperature and the 3 different scales, and I will see you soon.